What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 129 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self-proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, and sometimes it's someone new. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode, and feel free to browse through existing episodes to catch an interview about a book that you've already finished. Today's episode features a chat with Shelley Noble. We're talking about her book, The Sisters of Book Row. That book is available now. I loved talking with Shelley. I'm a sucker for historical fiction, if you haven't realized that yet. And it's a book about books. And it was just so fun to hear her talk about her research and just seeing the parallels from what her characters are dealing with and what we're actually facing today. Some spoilers might pop up in these conversations, but the episode is more enjoyable if you've read the book anyway. So if you don't know why I am having certain feelings about the sisters and each of their different personalities, hit pause, add this episode to your playlist, and pick up a copy of The Sisters of Book Row. This episode will be ready when you. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors and their work. Whether the characters need to get their shit together or I am saying what the fuck to Shelley for making me feel things, just please be mindful around listening ears. Books coming out this week on March 13th. We've got The Love Constant. That is the third book in the Binary Heart series by Anna Darcy. I love this series. It's seriously like my favorite love stories of all time that I've read. And Anna is a fantastic writer, and I was so excited to read the final book in her trilogy. And she is going to be joining the show. Her episode's going to be coming out in a couple weeks or so. And without further ado, get ready, grab your favorite drink. Here is Shelley. So today we've got Shelley Noble. We're talking about her book, The Sisters of Book Row. That book is coming out on March 3rd. Shelley, thanks so much for joining me today. I loved learning and getting to know the Applebaum sisters and lots of really meaningful themes, stuff that can parallel what we've got going on today, unfortunately. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to dig a little
I
bit
didn't
deeper.
exactly plan that, but
Right? Yeah, it's oh, look at that. If you want to be spoiler free or spoiler friendly, I'll follow your lead. We'll just give a disclaimer at the beginning, but I'll take your lead. Sometimes it's free to talk with spoilers. Otherwise, if you want to skirt around some of the juicy bits and the plot twists and all that, we do that too. It's up to
if I
you.
can remember,
Yeah.
then
We'll figure it out. But yeah, if you
yeah.
could give a brief summary of the book so
Okay.
that people can
I'll
follow
give you a
along.
teaser and you can take it up from there. So, this book, The Sisters of Book Row, my editor said, "Why don't you write I write historicals," and she said, "Why don't you write about books?" So, I started looking. I write about Manhattan, and there's this wonderful neighborhood that used to be for decades Book Row. And it's 4th Avenue between Union Square and Astor Place, where all the rare bookstores and the used bookstores in Manhattan congregated. And they moved around and they left and came back. And so this is where I looked for my story. And I came up with the three Applebaum sisters. Their mother is dead. They've inherited their father's rare bookstore. They grew up in the bookstore. They live above the bookstore, and this is their whole world, for better or worse, because they're three girls and they have all sorts of ideas and dreams that they don't share with each other. So one day, they opened the store, and there's a box at their doorstep, thinking it's an order they made. They open it, and to their wonder and horror, it's an definitely stolen manuscript, which includes papyrus fragments from the classical and banned for centuries poetess Sappho. Just having it is illegal because Anthony Comstock, whose name has crept up in our own history, is on the warpath and is raiding bookstores. He is the morality man of Manhattan, and he is angry at Margaret Sanger, so he has unleashed his thugs on Book Row, because Book Row to him is the road to brothels. So they panic. What can they do? They can't sell it. They can't give it away. They can't hide it. They'll have to hide it. And into the store comes a new customer, very debonair, very educated. He's evidently a buyer for a particular dealer who is interested in purchasing very rare, very antique, and unique works. So it's like, can he be trusted to save this unknown literature that was the greatest poetry in the world for many centuries? Or will trusting him lead them to betrayal and jail? So
Mhm.
that's where we get going.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was like I loved it because I'm a sucker for historical fiction. So it's hilarious
Okay, me
that
too.
you said your person was like, "Oh, why don't you write about books?" And it's like, okay, I'll write historical fiction about
Yeah,
books.
yeah.
Like,
I had been writing a couple of historical fictions, and before that, I wrote historical mysteries as well as women's contemporary fictions.
yeah, what draws you to those genres? Because I feel like, oh my gosh, with historical fiction, it's like the world is your oyster, right? And I always love just learning you could take a story and throw it into like real historical events. And also contemporary women's fiction, there's something about that too, where it's this kind of like it
It's
touches you.
relatable.
It's yeah, it connects you for sure or allows you to connect with your readers. But yeah, I'm just curious as to like pick your brain as to what draws you to what like writing what you love.
Why write anything
Yeah.
else? Sometimes you have to. True. I've always been a history nerd, and I was writing historical mysteries. I started out writing like amateur sleuth mysteries years and years ago, and then I just started writing historical sleuths. And then I was researching for my last Lady Dunbridge, which is a mystery series about a broke countess who moves to Manhattan to make her fortune and gets involved in murder. Of course, that's the trope. So I was on my fourth one, and I thought I'm going to introduce a, a company of visiting, possibly murderous psychoanalysts. It's 1902 or 1905, but I didn't know anything about psychoanalysis, right? So I was Googling it and I came across this thing about Tiffany's glass and the women's workshop that made all of Tiffany's Junior's
Oh.
lamps. And so from, I said, I read the article about, I have to write these ladies. And so I went to my editor and said, oh, so anyway, there was no murder in it. And then I just fell into love with this straight historical fiction because people were always doing, people as we speak are out there doing things that nobody knows about that makes history
Yeah.
work. That's what I do. I look for those little pockets of places. I write about Manhattan mainly, just
Oh,
because
okay. Because
I
you
lived
grew up
there for a
there?
really long time,
Yeah.
and then I moved across the river, and I'm still across the river. But there's so many stories there, and so many neighborhoods, and so many little groups where amazing things were happening. So
Yeah.
that's how I got into it. It's
Yeah.
really so fulfilling.
I can imagine because I piggybacking off of that a little bit because I always enjoy like, just the learning, just, like,
Mhm.
fascinating tidbits, like how you
Yeah,
said, and maybe feeling a little bit smarter when I'm finished, even if it was, like, mostly for entertainment based around real factual events, but I just think it's so cool to see things from get perspectives from people in different generations or different regions,
absolutely.
like, based on these huge moments and what was current events back then, and maybe we have or have not remembered or heard about that and just
Yeah,
taking a peek into that, like, little pocket of history and finding a way to just, like, run with it and make it entertaining. Like, for example, the Applebaum sisters, like, 3 orphaned women
yeah,
who are they're all so different, and like, the older one, she's a spinster, but she's just, like, such an academic, and she's like, her nerdiness is transcribing and looking at historical works, and then but I felt so bad for her because of her condition. It's, like, so heartbreaking and she's just slowly seeing that affect her. And then you've got the middle child, Daphne, who's just like what you can or say maybe it's not or it is traditional, just wanting a husband, wanting a man to sweep her off her feet and ideal life that she thinks she wants. And then the youngest one, the little rebel, who's doing the good work and risking her reputation, all their reputations for doing it. I want to get a little bit deeper into like coming up with the family, the characters, and just like their goals and their motivations and their journeys. Cause there's definitely, I could imagine you were pulled in different directions with their character growth.
Yeah. Yes, they were very difficult to manage. Um, it's funny because when I first started thinking I would do this book row and when I would do it, what period, I was just reading different things. And there was an article about the Cohen sisters whose father owned the Argosy bookstore in the city. And they inherited, and each one had their specialty that they liked doing more than the others, and each had their job. I think there was a brother or two, I don't know, but it gave me the idea of three sisters who inherit this bookstore. But, and then what? So the sisters have these different roles that they are playing, they think they have to be. But they each have their own dreams. Like Daphne, the middle child, she reads books with happy endings. That's all. She reads the ending first. If it doesn't have a happy ending, she doesn't read it. And she has built this idea of what the perfect life is. He's going to walk through the door, except the guys who walk through the door are only interested in stupid old books. So she's getting a little panicky. At one point, she says, if Mr. Darcy walked in, I would recognize his good features right away, and then realizes that that would make a really terrible story then. So she loves the stories too. Olivia, the oldest, the spinster, I think they used to kid her as a child about already being a spinster because she was so severe. Their mother is dead. Their mother is dead from having too many babies trying to give the father a male heir. So Olivia tried to be the male heir for her whole life. She learned the business. She's a great restorer. She translates. She does it all. But she's not going to be able to do it for that much longer. And then Celia, and once I spent weeks trying to figure out how old they were
Mm.
because the things that people did in 1915 or even earlier were much different. It's like, can you get away with a really young girl doing something that was not period appropriate? So once I figured out how Celia was younger and that she spent more time with her mother toward the end than the others did, and she was really affected by what happened to her mother, and she knew it in her heart that it was wrong for her to just get weaker and have one after another, and
Yeah.
then be so weak that she died along with all the babies. So
Mm.
she just happened to have walked down the street one day, and a girl handed her a pamphlet, and she saw that it was Margaret Sanger's work. Margaret Sanger, who was into family planning, was not into not having babies at all. But she was the target for Comstock, who was this horrible person. He was hired by the post office to keep pornography out of the mail. We're fine with that. But his idea of pornography changed from day to day. He was perverse and he hated women. He controlled the city for a couple of 3 decades until by the end everybody was making fun of him. The post office and the Society for the Suppression of Vice had fired him. He wouldn't leave. But into this comes this child. I think she's now 18, and she has decided that she's going to do the work of Margaret Sanger. And she has friends who have a hidden printer, and they print out things like prenatal vitamin lists and things that are illegal according to Comstock. And then they have to sneak them around and put them inside pattern books and cookbooks and things. But she's jeopardizing her sisters, as well as herself. And so she makes up the story about knitting socks at the ladies' auxiliary or something. She can't knit. She's never showed any interest.
I love that ongoing joke. It was like, oh, they're gonna notice that my knitting skills are not good at all because I like the jig is gonna be up because I have not been knitting this whole time.
Yeah, yeah. the thing is, if she will send her sisters to jail if she is caught. So it's a huge burden for a young girl with not much experience of the world because they've
Mm,
lived it in books.
yeah.
So I got that part of it. It's like Daphne. And then they have to go through their own transformations. And there were surprises for me too, which it doesn't happen that often. You really have to build your characters so that it makes sense in the cosmology of your work.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some surprises.
Yeah, I love no, I enjoyed all of them. I loved all of them for their uniqueness and for their own like little quirks.
Yeah,
And it was just like, yeah, I could totally sympathize with Olivia like having that burden. And
yeah,
it was almost like she had something to prove, but it did fall on her. And then with Daphne, I'm like, yeah, of course. There's nothing wrong with like wanting to look nice and like being having an eye for fashion or an eye for the aesthetics. Like even when eventually she starts getting a little more invested in the store because she wants to make it look good, and it's because
yeah.
her friend gives her the idea, like, "No, get more sales, you make it look good, you'll get."
Like the let me get rid of this. The middle child often is the one that seems to get lost in the shuffle, though they usually come out of it spectacularly. But
Mm,
Olivia had a reason for her life
yeah,
through the store. And Celia had one for hers, and Daphne didn't. She had the store, but they all had the store, and she, whether she realized it or not, needed something that was just hers.
and there's this perfectly good appreciative looking man who's a business
Yeah,
owner right next door, and I enjoyed I was there with her sisters, like, "Come on, like,
yeah,
come on, like, give him a few extra looks," and she was just like, the grass is always greener, right?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
she
she lived in books, and all the books are like these guys and rich and takes them away,
yeah, not
and
printers, like
so she couldn't see the yeah. He had ink on his hands all the time. What a
yeah,
silly thing! But
I know, and then Celia, because it was she wasn't educated, if I remember that correctly, her parents didn't
no,
yeah, her dad didn't feel the need.
Olivia went to school to
Mm,
Columbia to learn the trade.
mhm.
The other two weren't allowed to
Yeah, and
because
as the youngest one, she didn't yeah, it's like, no wonder because she caught on to so many things being
yeah,
around the most of it, and
yeah,
then what else is she gonna do? Like, obviously, she's intelligent, she noticed things, she's
yeah,
observant, and she's driven. It's like that's where she ended up channeling that drive is
yeah, yeah,
seeing that and thinking, "No, I wanna do something about it. I wanna help."
yeah,
And it's just like,
yeah.
yeah, prenatal vitamins, like, really? Is that, like
Can you argue with
it's
that?
yeah, like, no,
You can't.
why is
Evidently, you can't.
why is it so
But
secret? Yeah, no, but that's it exactly, it's a representation of the whole Comstock is, like, who's the end all be all authority? Like, who's to say
yes,
that, "Oh, this is inappropriate and this crosses the line," and it's like, what is it, a picture of the statue of David? Like,
yeah.
something
Well,
like
he
that.
arrested like the head of a, I don't know if it was the YMCA's School of Art, but in her catalog, what classes they're teaching this year, there was a photograph, I think I used it in the book, of, I was probably dubbing a Greek statue, but it was a picture of a nude statue. He arrested her to everybody's chagrin. He made himself obnoxious and nobody liked him.
Yeah, even
And by the,
even, like, law enforcement, they were like, "What are
oh,
you doing
they
here?"
were.
Like yeah.
First of all, they were all getting kickbacks from the brothel. So every time, and there were stories about he would go to the same brothel like eight times, wink to make sure it was really a brothel. Oh yes. So
And it's so, like it does touch on, like, what we see today is, like, so hypocritical. It's, like, people
yes,
who
yeah,
are saying, like, "No, this is absurd, this is inappropriate," but then we find out through one scandal or another that they themselves are
yes,
partaking in
yes,
particular activities or
and
entertainment.
he certainly evidently did.
Y
The latest, for the longest time, there was no real dissenting biographies of him, but lately there have been more, and
yeah.
he was not a nice fellow.
Oh, I can't imagine. Like, if a
Yeah,
nice fellow wouldn't be, like, drawing the line so hard and having all these thugs,
but
like, with him, and it was a little frightening, but it just reminds me of what the sisters would do. They would push their faces against the window to see as much, but even if it wasn't Comstock,
yes.
anything else, they'd be like, "Oh, where are they
Yeah, of
going?"
course.
I just love
It's the
funny
human
yeah.
condition. What's going on?
It's like our nosy selves, like nosy neighbors. I don't know. I'm for one, like, I won't speak for every reader, but I love seeing characters, like, give a little indulgent like,
Yeah.
Yeah, get the gossip, get the little, like, the town the word.
That and Book Row was that. The men all gathered at the newsstand to gossip. And there were really no, the only women at that point, it was still a man's business, or
Mm,
like wives and sisters and stuff. A couple of years after that, two women actually started a bookstore that they owned called Sunwise Turn. It was not too far off. I had to nudge history a little bit there.
that's okay. There was with your freedom to do.
Read the author notes. Author notes usually tell you where we had to fudge a little bit.
That's what how I like I kinda wanna piggyback on a little bit. I love asking authors this question, especially for historical fiction, and you mentioned it earlier. What was like while you were researching, like, was there anything that stood out to you as, like, the most surprising or most fascinating thing that you learned?
The extent of the Comstock pervasion over the city and the country at that time as well as now was shocking. I did. He took 150,000 books off the market. He would just come in. He would come to the big publishers and just decide to take books and just have them burned. And but then he also had an office in the village somewhere that they say was lined with some of the better examples of what he was burning and banning.
It's so
So
heartbreaking.
that wasn't totally surprising if you stop and think about it. Those
Yeah,
kind of people generally have a secret, nasty side.
yeah,
The one interesting thing I found, it has not much to do with the story, but how the Sappho papyri got to them was
yeah.
that it was hundreds of years old. Right? She was a classical poet. And Plato called her the 10th muse, the poetess, because she was so good. And then the guys that came next made fun of her and she passed out of popularity. But when they got finished with papyruses, they would throw them in the dump, or they made paper mache out of the pieces and put them, cover the sarcophagi on them. And so there was a lot of theft when either from the town dumps or from the museum or from it. And I thought that was just interesting that they would just tear. If we compare it today, maybe it's not so weird, but I thought this poetess that was just famous, just beyond everything's, ended up torn up on somebody's coffin.
That's yeah. It's like, oh, like
It's a tiny little fact, but it really stuck with me.
yeah, I understand because oh my god, because when you think about, like, the severity like, the significance of that, it's like these
Yeah,
classical, like, once in a lifetime rare pieces, physical
yeah,
pieces, and that's the only way that you can see them, and then they're just used as paper mache for basically coffins, like,
yes. It was just,
that's so
it was like,
heartbreaking.
okay, I cannot wrap my head around this. I will just
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah,
I did a lot of research. I did a lot of primary research. I'm of the school. Maybe there's not a school, but I think that you should like. I think I should only know what my characters know. And of course, I know a lot more because,
yeah,
it's like 100 years later. But I try not to research seriously after the book ends.
okay.
I use a lot of primary sources, the newspapers. Every newspaper has an archive. And just like there's a big court scene, a trial, and all of that came from newspaper reports. I put
Ye
several trials together just because there was such good dialogue from
yeah,
these judges to this guy Comstock. You can relate, right?
like,
So
let them have it, here we go.
yeah, so that was
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, that reminds me of with the works being like, the theft of from those like, those works, if people find the works and they steal because of it.
Yeah,
It reminds me of, like, I was from another interview that I did where there was a lot of artwork stolen by Nazis when they were
yeah, well, yeah.
yeah, and then a lot of theft from the art world came from there or, like, forgeries because it's like,
Yes.
"Oh, who's to say this wasn't found in a Nazi's basement?" Like, it
People are amazing though.
yeah, it like, that's kind of stuff is just you're peeling back so many layers of the implications of this is, like, the basic of what happened if you were looking at a history book. This is the fact, this is what happened, but then if you dig a little bit deeper, people were jumping onto that opportunity and
And the thing is, like, people who buy these stolen articles for huge amounts of money, they can't even display them. They're in like some bunker or something, somewhere they go down at night and like,
yeah, it's yeah, like, what do you like I don't wanna say power grab, but it's like the
It's like a
status.
power grab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the status, like, "Oh, I've got this secret
I don't care
thing."
if you love art. You can go to the museum like the rest of us,
Yeah, like,
or pay
ser
for it
e
for real.
exactly, you don't need to hoard it for, like, I don't know. I haven't grown up in, like, a middle class-ish
Yeah.
family, like, or lifestyle, and I just don't I like to think that I live pretty modestly, even if, like, I did have a lot of money, I would think I would just spend it all on books. Like, I just even so, like, 'cause my birthday's coming up and they're like, "What do you want for your birthday?" I'm like, "I don't know, time, like, time to myself. Can I just, like,
Yeah,
leave
that's
for
never gonna happen.
can I leave for 4 hours?" And I've done it before. My husband is not a fan. He's like, "I don't like that." I'm like, "I get it, but I just" it's like I can't think of anything that I want other than like, time is just as valuable, I feel like, in
Yes, it seems to go so fast because
so
we're all in
fast.
our own bubbles, and
Yes.
I get very claustrophobic sometimes
Oh, no.
thinking, "Everybody chill, get away,
Yeah.
give me space."
You blink and it's a year later and you're like, "Wait, what did I
Yeah.
do with that year? Like, what happened?" I'm gonna be 39, so I know that I'm like, hopefully, that I've still got, like, good years left. I've been told the best years, women in your 40s is great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So,
40 was good. 40 was good. Yeah, I'm getting to the place where I go, "What would you do to save the world or your life?"
you probably just based on your research and the events that you've lived, you probably are like, "Oh, I've got some thoughts." Like
Yeah, I do. I do have some thoughts. Yeah.
I know,
It's
right?
amazing how it doesn't matter what period you go to. Okay, I stay right around the turn of the 20th century because it's familiar and you can still see it when you walk down the street. A lot of it's gone, but you can get an idea of what was there. Like I can go to Fourth Avenue now and it's like billboards,
So
but
is
I
it
can just
still like Book Row then, or is it no, I was gonna
no.
say, like, I
There's
wanna
still
go there.
yeah, you can learn to go there.
Yeah.
There's a building here, a little niche there that is still there. There's some things. There are no bookstores. There may be one bookstore still, but it's been taken over by apartment buildings and commercial banks and
Sure.
stuff, just like the rest of Union Square.
Boo.
Union Square used to be this gorgeous place. It was the first Broadway before Broadway went to
Oh,
42nd
okay.
Street. It was Union Square. There were these gorgeous buildings. So you just have to like know where you are in reality, and then you just act like a tourist and just take your time and go, that's where this was, that was where this was.
Mhm. Yeah, as
It's
best you
amazing.
can, right?
And
Like,
I
it's
mean, like the Times Square and the Times building, the first ball dropped in 1905. One of my books that happens there. There's a murder on the building thing, but you can't see it now. It's covered with neon signs. When the
Yeah.
ball comes down, you can barely pick it out from the
Yeah.
rest of the stuff. But in 1905, when the ball dropped, it was dark, and people were standing in the street, and this amazing, huge, it wasn't even that big, made out of wood with a bunch of light bulbs in it, came down to the. It was, well, I wasn't there, but you could just feel the magic
Yeah.
across the years.
Oh, I
So,
know. I did go to New York City once on like it was like a baby moon. Like it was when I was 7 months pregnant with our first, and it was because we had like extra miles to burn off before they expired. So, 'cause
okay,
I'm in the Chicago area, so we're like, okay, we could do this kind of like in a long weekend, right? Like we can do, and then we wanted to do the whole touristy thing, go visit Square, go see the Empire State Building, go on some tours, and go like get some good food. We had to get that pizza to see what the big hub was about, see what is compared to Chicago.
they're two,
Yeah.
but they're two different styles of pizza.
Exactly,
Can't be
exactly.
compared.
No, that's what like, I know, like, I get the competition, it's funny, but yeah,
That's
like,
funny.
obviously, deep dish, we're known for our deep dish, but we don't get deep dish all the time when we order pizza. We don't, that's, like, for special
Later.
occasions, right? Like, with it's like, we went straight up, like, when we flew in, I think by the time we checked into our hotel and everything, it was 11 o'clock, and we're like, "We're so wired, like, let's go check it out for a little bit," and, like, we
Yeah.
walked towards Times Square, and there's still, like, so many people out, like, even, like, younger kids too. I'm like, it is a city that never sleeps. Like,
It
we're
never
just every
sleeps.
so like, hundreds and hundreds of people were still there, just whatever, hanging out. Like, and then we went,
It's
like
wonderful.
yeah, I thought it was definitely a different energy, and I appreciate it for what it was, and, like, I totally got
Yeah.
the appeal of it, and then we would just, like, around the corner, we got our New York pizza, and I was like, "Okay, this is pretty good." I was like,
Yeah.
"I get
Yeah, you
it."
have to admit it.
Exactly, that was, like, one of the first things we did, and then we were like not me being pregnant, I was like, "No, that's exactly what I want right now." Like, I just
Yes.
want some good steamy
Can't believe you
cheesiness.
walked around at 7 months.
It was like, we did the tour of the Empire State Building where it's like I think the line was super long because you do one elevator and then there's,
Yeah.
like,
The
2 more set floors after that, and only 1 you can get, like, the elevator doesn't get that high, but you could go all the way up,
yeah.
and it was, like, I think just 7 I wanna say it was less than 7 flights, and I was like, "No, I wanna go all
Yeah.
the way to the top," and my husband was like, "Please don't pass out, please don't pass out," but I, like, just powered through because even then, it was like those stairs, they gave me a run for my money, even if it wasn't but I
Yeah.
made it, and it was so worth it because it was so cool.
I'm impressed.
I'm like, I don't know if it's stubborn or I've just driven. I'm like, "No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." So, it was worth it though, but yeah, no, it got to a point where we were like I think we're on Ellis Island, and I was just like,
Wow, you did a
I'm gonna
lot.
sit on this bench. If you need to continue looking around, I will hang out right
Yeah.
here because my feet are, like, done."
If you sit really quietly at Ellis Island, you can hear all the immigrants that file through coming to a new world.
Oh, is it like
It's
a thing, like,
no,
with
no,
the
no. It's
spiritual
just in
energy?
the air. It's
Oh,
just a
yeah.
little bit of woo woo.
I was gonna no, I'm not denying, like, if there's, like, an energy about it, because like, any on other places
Yeah,
where I've traveled, I have felt like, you can
yeah,
it's like when I piggybacked on a trip on a my husband went on a work trip to Germany years ago before God, I think, like, we were barely a few years married at that point, and I just tagged along. I was like, "I'm gonna use my passport," and I tagged along, and I was like, "I'm gonna do one thing each day while you're at work. I'll meet you when you're done." And one of those, like, I went to Dachau concentration
yeah.
camp, and
I've never gone there.
it was definitely, like that's one of the places where I felt a shift. Like,
Yeah,
I never
mm,
considered myself much of a super connected to the
yeah.
spiritual, like, but it's just like
I'm not at all.
yeah, but that's why I think maybe that affected me so much because I could
But
feel
some places have,
it was like a shift, like, I just had an
you,
immediate I could feel, like, the leftover, like, the mood, the vibe, the energy of what happened there, and it was just like, "Holy crap," and, of course, there's, like, high school students going on field trips there, and they just like, "Whatever," and I'm just sitting here
yeah.
as an American tourist, I'm like, "Holy shit," like
There's so much noise around us all the time. It's
yeah.
easy to miss. You have to either be hit up the head on the head by it and surprised,
Mhm.
or else you really have to just try to tune in. But a lot of places are like that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I think that's probably also why I feel a connection and an appreciation for historical fiction, because I think there's just, like, something in me that kinda, like, triggers a little bit where I'm like, "Ooh," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What's this about?"
Well,
So
we're the same species throughout history. We get a little smarter. We invent some things, and but basically, when it comes down to it, it's kill or be killed, or love or
it really
grief, and
is.
so
At the
there.
basic, like, you strip us all down, whatever time,
I know.
place, humans, like, it's like, what is it? The hierarchy of needs? It's like
Yeah,
at the end of it like, at the end of the day, no matter who you are, color of your skin, where you live, we're looking out for ourselves, our safety, our
yeah,
security, shelter, food, and we're looking out for our crew, our pack, our
yeah,
family, our blood. Like,
yeah.
it's like, how could you not relate? Like, we could go I will get off on a tangent off of all of this. It's like, how could you not understand people who are not like you? Because there's at the very basic level, you have to understand what they're trying to do half the time.
But it's always been that way.
Yeah,
There hasn't been a society. They killed Socrates.
because they were
It's always been that way. Where
yeah, and it's horrible, it sucks. People are dumb. Or it's just fear.
it's fear.
Yeah.
It's fear and not wanting to take responsibility. It's easier to blame someone else than say, "Oh boy, I'm a loser. It's my fault."
Yeah,
Or
it's exactly. I think a lot of people need a lot of it, they need to look at themselves rather than worry about, like, who what are they doing and why are they doing that? It's like, mind your own business. Like, let's look at yourself and then circle back.
and writing history really gives you a perspective on now.
Yeah.
Doesn't help. It doesn't help not getting ornery, angry about it, but it does teach. It does show you a common goodness and a common real malevolence in our species. But you see it getting stronger, and maybe not stronger, but faster and more widespread, but just
Yeah.
because of our inventions. And, I mean, like, take the internet, it's just taken
Oh my
the guy
gosh.
and the caveman with a club, like, to whole new
Oh my
places.
gosh.
So,
And how it just like exponentially evolves. Like in
yeah,
the past 100 years, you can look at
yeah.
versus 200 years before that. It's
It's
like
not,
it's so crazy to me.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw this at you. What were the most challenging parts to write? What were the most enjoyable parts to write?
The most challenging, I almost said awful. The most challenging parts are always, for me, and there's probably some other places too, but the very beginning, because I do a lot of research. I love big, messy books. I write big, messy books. I know everybody says cut the word count, cut the word count. I'm a Dickens,
Like the drama, you're like,
affirmation.
okay. Like
I like lots of characters. I like lots of plot threads. And so when I start, I have a huge mess of characters and history and, I don't know, costumes and a plot. Remember the plot? And until I get them somehow started off and get rid of the things that are not going to be used, or but keep them close in case you do need them. That's the hardest part of having too much and not whittling it down, but somehow shaping it. I call myself the globber. There's a thing, and I don't know if it's still here in writing. There were the pantsers and the plotters, people who plot in advance and people who just write by the seat. I never think anybody could do that totally. I'm a glommer. I take a little bit of stuff and like make it into a something. So that's the hardest part for me. Every book, in fact, I have one friend and colleague who is my reader, is my Yoda. She doesn't care about the reading so much, but my book essence. And she goes, and I go, I listen. She goes, you're probably around page 130 now. You do this every single time, so just go back a chapter and then just shove through this part because it'll be fine. And I do.
She
There's a
knows
place
you.
every book for and I've had like over 30 books now.
That's
Every
wild.
book, every book.
That's wild. Congratulations. You obviously have a pattern that works. You have a process.
Yes, but I want a simpler pattern that and you hear other people you belong to writers group, and they go, "Oh, I wrote 3,000 words today. I make my next week." It's like, yeah, I
No.
could barely get from the kitchen to my desk this morning. So
Oh, don't
just stop
compare
it.
yourself to others. You should know better
Well,
by now. Come
oh
on.
yeah, it's just fun. It's just,
It is fun to be like, oh
but
God.
I haven't changed that much. I'm always like stuck there. But then when I get to those two-person scenes or the three people scenes that are talking about something, it's just heaven because it's so simple.
Yeah, yeah. I did love like some of the dialogue that you had. It's like calm, but it was also like, what is she doing then? Like, what do you think she's doing? Or it's like, it's Comstock again. And like I loved how like because you had like channel the language that like the
Yeah.
dictation of the time. Like
Yes.
and
And
it was fun.
balance.
Yeah.
You don't want to sound like them really because nobody would read it,
Yeah.
but you need to get enough flavor without losing the essence of what they're talking about. That's a learned. And then 1870, my book that I'm working on now takes place in 1870, Long Branch, New Jersey. No cars. How long
Oh no.
how do you get your carriage from the carriage house to the where you go? It's ridiculous. I don't know why I did it, but it's a good story, I think.
You needed
But
something that was gonna challenge you a little bit. After so
I'm,
many years, so many books, you had to
I
do
guess
something
so.
to keep it fresh.
Jump off a cliff, see if you can get it finished before you land. That's where I'm at that place again. It hasn't changed. The year has changed, but the process stays the same.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it. An author that I interviewed gave me a great idea of how they learn how to write a character that's in a different age of their own, maybe different gender, different background than their own. Like, how do they write authentically and channel and get in the zone of someone very different from themselves? And she said, I asked myself a question: how would my character wash the dishes? So I wanna ask you, how would Olivia wash the dishes? How would Daphne wash the dishes? How would Celia wash the dishes?
Olivia does the cooking. So Daphne and Celia fight over who has to do the dishes, and they alternate drying and washing. That's an interesting question, though.
Because she was
It
saying, like, it helps say, like, okay, this person, they would just do a half-assed job, or this person would, like,
right.
get every spot off and be pristine, super clean, so that I love that question.
That yeah, that's a fun question. I think also did theater and dance before I started writing. So I just crawl in there into the scene. I just become the people. And I take this water aerobics class like 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice.
And now everybody's used to me, but they're all chatting and we're doing this and I'm doing this and I'm talking to myself because I'm like, it's a perfect place to work out scenes
Yes.
because it's just you and the and at first they were like, "What are you
Here's a
doing?" And it's
crazy
like,
lady doing her
"Angry?" I
workout.
said, "No, I'm not angry. I'm just like thinking."
You're
Um,
like, "I'm a writer, okay?" Like, this is
yeah,
my process.
now they're fine with it. So, yeah, but I just crawl into those characters and I crawl into the scene. Once when I'm in there, hours can go by. I don't know if the telephone rings. I'm like, "What is that sound?" That's how far I get into it, which is just quite fun. But
Yeah, absolutely,
uh,
when you're in I don't know whatever they call it, there's a better name for it, but it's just like you're in the zone and you're in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, writing zone.
Exactly. So how'd you get yourself out of the zone? Because there's not, like, too many trigger warnings, but there's, like, some serious aspects. Because like, the whole just, childbirth and women's,
Yeah,
like, rights to their own health and services that are available, and I know that, like, just the human body and childbirth is so complex and complicated, and it really is. I didn't really get, like, "Oh, it's a miracle." But, like, it can be I
oh
definitely
yeah,
understand how it could be seen that way having had 2. My
yeah.
pregnancies and deliveries were pretty business as usual. I'm very fortunate that I didn't have any alarming things, but, like, my own mom, like, she lost her first child because his lungs weren't fully developed, and it's so s I'm just thinking, like, after having my first kid, I was like, "Oh my god, what she went through." I could fully understand and appreciate now,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
carrying that child, and that was, like gosh, my mom, she had her first it would have been probably almost around 50 years ago where she had her first, maybe 51, 52 years ago, where she had her first, and she's an older mom. She had me when she was, like, 35, I think, because they didn't push epidurals back then, they didn't really do that,
yeah.
so she gave birth to all of us with nothing, which I'm like, "Bow down." I'm like, "Oh my god." Like, I tried, I couldn't do it.
For centuries, women have been, you know, saying, hold my bag of potatoes. I have to go squat out this kid."
Oh gosh, yeah, and so I just, like I imagine you got, like, in the zone. How did you do to pull yourself out of the zone? Or anything that you did to take care of yourself, to just self-care, anything like that?
No, because I am the puppet master. And I don't linger on. I know there are people who like the whole book is about a family overcoming, but I don't even read those. Call me shallow or something. But the mother wasn't like in this book in Sisters, the mother we only heard about and we saw her through how like Daphne was
Yeah.
completely oblivious. It's not in her personality. Celia, it changed her whole world and made her angry. And this is something I didn't spend too much time on because I have so many people to deal with. And Olivia just took it in like the dowager that she was and just kept powering through. And I think in Tiffany Girls, one of the girls who's like, she's autistic or something. Anyway, Mr. Tiffany was a very progressive man, and he hired her sister and he hired her to sweep. And she got in trouble with one of the guys, and he took her to a back alley, and she dies. But did the I had a purpose there to show she makes it home. She could barely find her way home. They put her in bed. They're all freaked out. They know what it is because in those days you knew what it was. And then the landlady shoos them all downstairs. And then they go to work the next day because they have to go to work. And when they come back, the girl is gone. She's died, but they knew she died. They whisked her away because they would be arrested if they were caught at the funeral of someone who had an abortion. So I I don't go there because then it becomes a whole nother book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those two sisters, when the one sister died, and there was a moment, I don't know how much of it, when you write books, a lot of it doesn't end up printed.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, cut this out. But there was a moment when this girl, the sister, who surviving sister, some people thought, oh, she's free, she won't have to take care of. I can't remember the girl's name anymore. She can marry instead of being the caregiver of this adult sister who was actually older than she was. And but she never we intimated that she would never, she just went to work every day just like always, because that was her lot in life. It sounds so fatalistic, but that's the way the world
Yeah.
was and possibly is. So yeah, I don't dwell on that because most of the time people have to keep going.
Yeah.
And there are people who will write those books, those intimate books.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like you gotta find a way to navigate that, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
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 that's what it comes down to. But no,
yes,
I love
absolutely,
your kind of first attitude. You're like, I don't like it's a healthy way to look at it. You're like, I don't let myself get there. Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
do it, you
Oh, I
respect
get
it.
there.
Yeah.
I get there on television and bawl my head off and am depressed for 2 days. But I know what it is and why it is. And when somebody close to you dies, it's devastating, and we've all
Yeah.
been there. Yeah, but you know,
It's
I'm from the carry on stock. I think it's just
It's
so far.
yeah, it's a way to like, I don't know, your brain, I think, just goes into protection mode at a certain
Yeah,
point
yeah,
where
yeah,
you still respect it in the moment and the idea of it, but
yeah,
then you move on because you
yeah,
almost have no choice, right? Like there's
yeah,
certain circumstances where you're like, tomorrow's another day.
yeah,
Life is not going to stop for me kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I
But
appreciate that struggle.
in life, you have to do that. And as an author, I choose to do that, I think, because of the what I'm writing. Now, if I were writing about that aspect of it, about I could have written the backstory about the girl seeing all this horror and blah blah. But it was a story about getting rid of Comstock, which we didn't do. But his laws were what called zombie laws for years. That they were not ever excised from the book, but they were overturned by Dobbs v. Wade. Um, but states had adopted them because
Mm.
so that's why Texas can do all that stuff. And they blame it on refer to the Comstock laws.
See, now I'm gonna have to I feel like now that I've read your book and I'm like really aware of that, I'm gonna notice it more.
Yeah,
Because it's like I'm in Illinois, like, I'm, like, in the Chicago suburbs, so, like, I don't likely will never have to worry about those things that I frown upon,
yeah,
but that's also, like, how my husband becomes a little jaded, he's like, "It doesn't matter because Illinois will vote a certain way." So, I'm like, "But you still have to, like, take care like, state and local, like, still pay attention to those
yes.
because that does have, like, more of an impact on
And it's
you."
kind of sounding like maybe we won't be voting
Yeah,
if you
I
look.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's what God, I don't even wanna think about that. I don't even wanna think
Yeah,
about that, but
I mean
I've
about triggers,
yeah,
right?
I know, exactly, and I'm like, I'm where, like, I won't I wanna believe that won't happen, but I'm like,
Yeah, me too.
"Oh my god,
Yeah,
it might.
I'm definitely doing a head in the sand one
It
on that one. It's
might."
like
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know.
keeping up
Yeah.
with so much.
No, I understand,
But I
like,
can
for you, you're
recognize him
like
on a lineup. I know what he looks like. So
No, I know, it's hard to keep track, it really is, and it's for me, I'm just like, I feel like sometimes, like, your brain, your mental health-wise, you can only keep up so much, like,
and
if I
we're
doom
always
scroll
bombarded
yes.
constantly.
If I doom scroll on my phone, like, social media, I just my algorithm starts to get me, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay," I'm like, "I need to take, like, a day break of looking at Instagram or looking at"
I'm really bad about doom scrolling. I started going, I'll just see what happened today, and then it's like, oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah. And then your
Yeah.
algorithm is like, "Here, oh my god, I the world is trash."
I've
So,
I've
yeah.
I try to only read the news, but then I find myself sneaking at night and going, okay,
Yeah.
just a minute. I'll just
Yeah.
watch a minute.
It is interesting to get, like, individual, perspectives on
Yeah.
what everybody's seeing,
Yeah.
and it's definitely it does, like your social media, it does show you things a certain way that you have to pay attention to. Because if
Yeah,
I'm only
little.
being fed one thing, then that's I'm confirmation bias, and then it's like I'm not seeing the other side, what
Yes,
they're
and we
being
don't
fed.
even know that it's real. Somebody said they overbought, I think, like historical fiction, especially the World Wars, and now they're saying a lot of people are like changing to rom-com and they said, why don't you change? Because it's going to be tougher in the market for historical fiction now because the world wants Busby Berkeley, or I don't know, the Rockettes, or dystopia. That's what I find weird. It's like, isn't this enough?
I know,
But
right? Is it
what
an
I've
escape
just decided
or
to, I don't feel the need to write about now because most of it, what we think is true, is probably not true. And like, and is it a person? Is it a AI? This is huge
Yeah,
lawsuit.
it's
They like
crazy.
stole like 30 of my books. I'm part of the lawsuit
Oh, I hate
to
that.
train AI on. I resent it. I
Yeah,
worked hard to get those books, but
exactly, and they're just, like, saying,
um,
"Okay, we're gonna use your stuff without your consent
yeah,
to
yeah,
train AI," and it's like, "Dude," like
because they can,
yeah,
because they're smart or rich or whatever their
or
excuse
yeah,
is.
they're getting ahead of it, and it
I
sucks.
don't think I'm up to delving into this world as a writer. I'm going. I'm planning to stay comfortably back at the time when there was plague and people died of measles.
I
Hello,
know, right? I'm
or
like,
the
"Man,
flu.
I would take vampires at this point, like,
Well,
zombies, I don't know how my survival skills are not great, but it really it cannot it's, like, almost equivalent, like, I just don't
yeah, I was surprised that so many people are reading. They're reading romanticy, which I get, but the dystopian horror stuff is like, no. I my television watching is like Miss Marple and
I
like
love
these
it.
very.
Yeah.
I love a good quiet murder
Calm,
mystery.
winding down, like
Yeah,
like you need a little, like, balance to the
yeah,
world.
because you got to rev it up again tomorrow.
Exactly. What do you hope readers get out of The Sisters of Book Row?
I think I said this before. We're all making history. Those girls, even though they're not real, they were real somewhere. And they made history by their decisions and by their stick to itness. And it's very important. We don't have to like cure a disease or win a battle, but it's very important for people to do what they're here to do. Not like, I don't mean like they're calling, but like just to be aware and to be here now. And I think that this the people in this book, the protagonists anyway, really try to do that. So, yeah, if we can just do whatever it is we do with, I don't know, it sounds really cornballish now that I say it, but do what you do with, I don't know,
With
with
what you have?
honesty, with
Oh,
what,
yeah,
yeah,
do
yeah,
anything with yeah, with integrity. This
integrity, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's no, that is really powerful because it's basically I think I've heard it's like think globally, act locally.
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely,
there you like, in your community,
yeah,
you can make more of an impact if don't get
yeah.
too overwhelmed. Don't
Just
get
being
too
nice to your
intimidated.
neighbor,
Yeah.
that's building a foundation for the longevity of the planet.
Yeah. No, seriously, like, our
Me too.
again, our
I'm
planet is
serious, but when I
dying,
hear
like,
myself saying it, I go, "Oh,
don't
that is
worry
so
about
good."
it, like, you're saying there's truth to it. It's like, our planet is dying, and I am afraid, and I'm like no, for
Yeah,
me, I if we really got into it, I would probably be a bit I'd probably come off as pessimistic, but I think
yeah,
I'm
well,
just trying to not
yeah.
be
Let's not go there
too
because
I'm trying not to be too rose-colored glasses about it.
we both have children. So
It's yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's I was like, if I was a survivalist by myself, like, I probably wouldn't even care, but, like, if I have kids, I would try a little bit harder. Like, I
yeah,
would yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so Shelley Noble, are you working on anything now that you could talk about? What's your next project?
Yes, 1870 Long Branch, which was for my sins. It was the summer White House of Ulysses S. Grant when he was president. And after that, there were like 6 or 7 presidents who made Long Branch, which is right down the road a piece. It's in New Jersey. Made their summer capitals. There's one of the parks is called Seven Presidents Park. So I decided I wanted to do something. I'm not happy with doing 1870, but I didn't want to go back earlier because I didn't want to have to write about hoop skirts and getting them through doorways and into carriages. So this is the bustle. Now, I know that's a stupid way to decide on a
That's
book. It
okay.
wasn't really,
You had to draw the
it's not
line
really, I mean,
somewhere.
I had decided on the summer White House thing before I realized that I still had to deal with the bustle, but that I can handle. And it's about a young girl who wants to be a lawyer. She passed the bar, but they won't let her practice because there's no precedent for a woman practicing law in New Jersey. A few years, New Jersey actually didn't have a woman prosecutor until 1895, I think, and it's 1870. So she has to move someplace else. I haven't gotten that far. So that's what it is. It's about how a town is changed by all the influx of tourists and land grabbing. And he had the most corrupt cabinet in American history. It turns out lately the writing has been that he distrusted his generals from the war. He was really successful as a general, and people used him. So we'll see where it goes.
That
Yeah,
again, that
I
sounds
know.
like that sounds like a way for you to take history and make it like juicy drama. Like
Yeah,
that is, yeah, absolutely.
the best part.
Just like look at what's there and be like, what? Like
Oh, I have so many potential plot points. Oh yeah, see
rubbing your hands together, like, all right,
how
let's
many
go.
get in it.
That's awesome. Where can we find you online and on social media?
Oh, I am down to shelleynoble.com website. I have 2 Facebooks, Shelley Noble, Shelley Freidont Noble, and Shelley Noble Author, something like that, and an Instagram. I think Shelley Noble will get you there. I've just really pulled back because it's just lots of noise.
It
So
is.
I'm down to this now, mostly down to this.
Yeah, yeah, no, you have to, it is a lot. It's hard to keep track of
Yeah,
everything and to see and to also keep track of what where your reach is on everything. So no, I
yeah,
totally get
yeah. It's just like everybody yelling, buy my book or buy my this or listen to
it.
me.
And
It's
you're
the
just
more
like, I used all my creativity to like write my
I
stories.
just,
Yeah.
it's, I am enjoying writing shorter articles though this time around because I haven't had time to do that lately.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
that's nice.
You gotta feel like, yeah, I guess do something that you enjoy that's still exercising that part of your brain
Yeah, and
without any pressure, right? Like,
yeah, it's like 400 words or 1,000 words. That's like 4 pages. It's like
you're
I
like, well,
write 400 pages. It's like, can I say this in 4 pages? I can.
right?
So that's nice to
Absolutely.
know.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can. Shelley Noble, the Sisters of Book Row, that comes out on March 3rd. Thank you so much for joining me today, for giving your insights and your authenticity and all that good stuff. And if and when you ever want to chat about your next work, feel free to keep in touch. I'd love to chat
I
again.
will be in touch. Thank you.
And there you go. That
And there
was
you go.
Shelley
That
Noble talking
was
about her book, The
Walter
Sisters
B.
of Book
Levis
Row. That
talking
book is
about his
available
book, The
now.
Meaning of
Check
the
out the show
Murder. That
notes
book
where
is
you
available
can
now.
see
Check out the
links
show
where
notes for
to
see
find
links where you
Shelley
can find
online and on
Walter
social
online and
media
on
and
social
where to
media
purchase the book.
and where to
In the
purchase
show
the
notes,
book.
you'll also
In the
see
show
where you
notes,
can
you'll
find
also see
Cantina
where to
Book
find
Club on
Cantina
your
Book Club
favorite social
online on your favorite
media book
social media book
communities,
communities,
such
such
as
as
Bookstagram,
Bookstagram, BookTok,
BookTok,
BookTube,
BookTube,
Facebook,
Facebook, and
Threads, and
more.
more.
And
And
I
I
would
would love
love
and
and
appreciate
appreciate
if
it
you
if you
could
could
hit
hit
that
that
follow
follow and
button
subscribe
and
button
so
so
that you
that you
never miss
never
out on
never
book
miss
reviews
out
and
on
author
book reviews or
interviews.
author
If you have any
interviews.
book loving
If you have
friends
any
who are
book
looking to
loving
get more out of
friends
their
who
reading
are looking to
lists,
get more
please
out of
share
their
Cantina
reading
Book Club with
lists,
them
please
so that
share
they can
Cantina
find
Book Club with
upcoming
them so
releases
that
and
they can
interviews
find
with
upcoming
authors.
releases and
Another way to help
interviews with
this
authors.
podcast is to head on
Another
over to
way to
your
help
favorite
this
podcast
podcast
player
is to head
and
over to
give
your
Cantina
favorite
Book Club a
podcast
rating and
player and
review.
give
It
Cantina
helps
Book
me to
Club
reach more
a
potential
rating and review. It
listeners
helps
and
me to
fellow
reach
book lovers
more
like you.
potential listeners
And that
and
goes
fellow
for any
book lovers
podcast that
like
you
you.
listen to.
And
It's
that goes
one
for
of the
any
easiest way that you
podcast
can
that
help
you
out.
listen to. It's one of
If
the
you need
easiest
book
ways that you can
recommendations, you
help
can
out.
reach out to me. I'm
If you
always
need book
looking forward to
recommendations, you can reach out to me. I'm
recommending books
always
based
looking
on your
forward to making those book suggestions in whatever genre you're looking into. On cantinabookclub.com, you can search based on genre. Just take a look for more in-depth reviews. While you're at it, you can subscribe by entering your email on the website, and you can get reviews and author interviews delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support Cantina Book Club even more, you could donate by finding the form on cantinabookclub.com. Whether it's a one-time donation or as little as $1 a month, I seriously appreciate the support and will share my appreciation by giving you a shout out on the show. And finally, one of the best ways to help authors promote their works is to head on over to Amazon, Goodreads, Storygraph, and find that title and give them a rating and a review. It's one of the easiest, one of the best ways to help out authors, other than actually purchasing the book or shouting out on social media. Thanks so much for listening, and see you next time. Cheers.